Hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Happy April. I don't know if you're aware of this, but April is Stress Awareness Month. So I want to take some time today to talk about the impact of stress and anxiety on our health and what that looks like. I want to share some statistics with you and just want to talk about this topic because I really think it needs addressed. I think that stress is a large part of the reason that we have so many health conditions in our society. I think stress is detrimental to our health, our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health. And yet I don't know that a lot is being done to address the root cause. So I want to dive in and I want to talk about stress and anxiety today. So according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 13 people globally suffer from anxiety. And this was before COVID even, so I'm sure the numbers are higher now. But in the US alone, there are nearly 40 million people who experience an anxiety disorder in a given year. Of those 40 million, approximately 2/3 are women and 8% are children and teenagers. So it really shouldn't be a surprise that many people who are having anxiety and stress are looking for support and treatment, and including how to relieve it or reduce it naturally. And that's what I do as a coach. So if you grapple with anxiety, you might be wondering, what's the best way to manage it? Is medicine the only option? Are there ways to naturally reduce anxiety? And fortunately, today there are so many things that you can do to manage and reduce stress and anxiety. So today we're going to dive deeper into this and we're going to talk about what your anxiety could be telling you. And I'm going to give you some techniques that you can walk away from this episode with so that you are prepared the next time you are feeling that stress and anxiety. A lot of the women that I work with have stress and anxiety. They may not realize it initially, and that's why I will share my story. I would stuff my stress and my anxiety down with food and sugar to try to suppress it. So a lot of times we will turn to something we think to make us feel better, whether it's shopping, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whatever that is, to kind of numb or buffer the pain. And really we need to get to the root cause. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what anxiety it is, how it maybe appears in the body, and we'll go from there. So, what is anxiety? Well, in really basic terms, anxiety is how your body responds to stress, and it can be physically or it can be physiological. So, the feeling of anxiety is thought to originate in the amygdala part of the brain, and that controls the many intense emotional responses that we as human beings experience. So, anxiety is your normal built in biological mechanism to your body that will put you on alert and prepare you for a perceived crisis. You may have heard of fight or flight. This is a part of that. However, if that becomes chronic, anxiety can become detrimental and damage again your physical and mental and emotional health. So, what are some common effects of anxiety on the body? Some common effects include depression, panic attacks, sense of doom, headaches, irritability, pounding heart, breathing problems, loss of libido, upset stomach, diarrhea, extreme fatigue, increased blood sugar, muscle aches and pains, lightheadedness, dizziness, frequent urination, shaking, change in appetite, trouble sleeping, and sweating. And these can be common in kids too. I just want to say, if you're a parent and you have a child that's experiencing any of these, this could absolutely be affecting your children as well. This is something that's been a lifelong struggle for me. When I was a child, I used to get a nervous stomach when I felt anxious. And sometimes I would get the diarrhea. Sometimes I would end up vomiting. So just know that these are also common in kids, and to kind of be aware if your child is having some of these things. They might be having anxiety, but they may not know what that is, and they may not know how to verbalize it. So anxiety has also been linked with several chronic diseases, including heart disease, some GI conditions, and chronic respiratory disorders. So there was a Harvard Medical School article, and it said people with those conditions who have untreated anxiety, the condition itself has shown to be more difficult to treat and physical symptoms tend to worsen, and in some cases they die sooner. So we really need to kind of get a handle on this if you're experiencing this in your life. So what are some common stressors linked to anxiety? And these, of course, are very individualized. We're unique, we're different, one size doesn't fit all. But generally speaking, here are some major common stressors that are linked to anxiety. Moving, starting a new job or changing schools, college preparation, job dissatisfaction, overwhelm, or misalignment, toxic workplace relationships, traumatic family relationships, financial insecurity, having an injury or illness, having a friend or family member who is injured or ill, the death of a family member or friend, getting married or going through a divorce, having a baby, and I would add this pandemic that we've been in. And just for myself personally, and looking through that list, there are at least 2 or 3 that I've experienced in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So know that you're not alone in this, friends. Now, for people who have an anxiety disorder, they may feel intense, persistent, excessive anxiety, worry, fear, or other upsetting emotions as part of everyday situations, and this can result in frequent panic attacks. And for those individuals, it's best to be evaluated by a professional to determine if medical treatment is needed. So let's go ahead and dive into how to reduce stress and anxiety. You just didn't come here to hear about stress and anxiety because you probably know that you've had it or you have it. So let's talk about what we can do to reduce it. So they can be helped with a myriad of natural remedies, including diet, exercise, rest, mindfulness, and self-care. And some natural remedies for anxiety that I recommend include exercising. It gets those endorphins pumping, those feel-good chemicals in our brains. That's a really powerful one. It's been a game changer for me. Spending time outside, getting out into the sunlight and the vitamin D, that's a powerful one. Gardening, spending some quiet time reading, journaling, praying, practicing deep breathing, aromatherapy. I love some essential oils, getting a massage, making sure you're getting enough sleep, limiting your alcohol, your caffeine, and your sugar intake, because there's a huge connection with sugar and anxiety. Spending time planning and prioritizing. A lot of times we can feel stressed because we haven't given ourselves enough time or space to kind of process and plan ahead. So for me, when I give myself that time and space and what I call windows, it changes a lot for me. So make sure you give yourself time to do that. Journaling, connecting with others. We were made for connection. We were made for community. And seeking the support of a health coach, a therapist, or a counselor. All of those have been game changers for me. I wouldn't sit here and tell you what to do if it hadn't worked and been proven for myself and the women that I've worked with. So let's talk about how a health coach can help with anxiety, because you might be thinking, okay, what does health coach have to do with it? Well, health coach can be a fantastic resource and support, because a health coach can suggest techniques, tools, and strategies that can help you ease specific anxiety situations to your goals and your lifestyle. And we can also work with you to identify what's causing your anxiety in the first place. I'm very, very big on getting to the root, because I believe that when we get to the root, that's where we can change. Otherwise, we're just putting a Band-Aid on it, and we're not really going to get rid of the weed if we don't pull it out by the root. We've got to pull it out by the root in order to really be done with the weed. Otherwise, it keeps coming back. So I love to help women break free from burnout. And a lot of times we're burnout, and that's why we're turning to sugar. We're turning to emotional eating. So if we can get to the cause and, really decide what the cause of that for you is, that's a game changer. For me, it was feeling overwhelmed as a mom and like I didn't know what I was doing. So I believe anxiety is a messenger, and we just need to figure out what that message is. Sometimes it shows up as chest pain. It can be headaches. It can be neck pain. It can be other symptoms that we treat with medicine, but they're all messengers. Our bodies are always talking to us. We just haven't been taught really how to listen to them. So I'm going to give you some tips now on how to reduce anxiety levels. I'm going to give you three. The first one is don't kill the messenger. Instead of focusing on eliminating the symptoms, appreciate the emotions you're feeling and your body's discomfort. Don't see it as something negative or that you want to get rid of or be ashamed or embarrassed by it, but rather focus on what the message is. If you keep killing the messenger without getting the important message, the messengers will keep coming back louder and louder until you take the message. So be smart, simply thank the messenger and take the message. Okay, so I don't know how anxiety and stress show up in your life, but you probably do, and that's the messenger. The second thing is to don't let your reality lead your imagination. Let your imagination lead your reality. And so when you're faced with a stressful situation, visualize a more desirable outcome. So let's say that you're stuck in traffic. So you might feel anxious and you might start thinking, I'm going to be late. My kids are going to sit at school, or they're going to be upset because they're going to think I've forgotten them. Whatever that is for you, imagine all of those negative consequences. That's what creates the anxiety that you feel. So instead of imagining the worst case scenario, tell yourself, it'll be fine. I'm going to get there on time. My kids are safe. They're at school. And you just focus on your thoughts and visualizing a feeling of calm and inner peace despite the stressful situation that you're faced with. Because yes, you might be late, but it is not the worst case scenario that we oftentimes let our imaginations tend to. And then the third thing is focus on what you really want. And this means getting really clear on what you want for yourself in your life and decluttering anything from that which is maybe blurring you from seeing that for yourself. So this may include letting go of others' expectations and opinions. It might be spending less time on social media. That's something I'm navigating right now. And it might be how you and your decisions will be perceived by other people. You can't change how others view you, but you can change how you view yourself and the actions that you take to feel calm, fulfilled, and joyful. So I hope that this has been helpful for you as we focus on Stress Awareness Month. I know it's certainly been an interesting year with COVID and everything that has transpired, but my hope for you is that you will be calm, confident, and at peace. And if you need or would like someone to journey with you, please reach out. I would be happy to do that. I will put a link in the show notes to my calendar to schedule a complimentary coffee chat. If you're interested in that, we can just chat and come up with a plan for you to work on some stress navigation and management in your life. So have a beautiful day, and I wish you the best. Talk to you next week.